I know everything about this exercise. It was a ranking official that was in charge of this mission. And we was not supposed to fire instantly. We had to wait. I'm sitting there waiting. He's just screaming, fire, fire, fire. I'm like, sir, we're not supposed to fire. Fire, fire, fire. Copy that, fire.
Was there ever any time where you felt as though, maybe this is not for me?
I didn't know where I was going because, again, it was nighttime, ship's dark right now. I have no idea what's going on. It's like, it's not even like a new day in school. It's a new day in, I don't know, prison.
What's the peanut butter shop? What is that? Where they stick the needle where the sun don't shine. Go ahead and inject you up. And
left leg was numb for about 30 seconds. I remember that day.
I think a lot of veterans, what we don't do is talk about that moment and how afraid we were.
Hard work, that's ultimately what it's gonna be about. I tell sailors or Marines, Army personnel going in right now, know your job, do your job, and be on time.
Welcome to the Prepare to Compete podcast, where we introduce our new series, Veterans Voices, where we delve into tales of solidarity behind the service uniform. Today, we're joined by our special guest, Mr. Stanley Williams. He's not just a Navy veteran with 13 years of distinguished service, but a man whose journey has taken him from the decks of the USS Stump to the bridge of William P. Lawrence DDG. Stationed on these vessels, Stanley rose through the ranks all the way to E5, serving as an operations specialist and earning many accolades along the way. His service records is a testament to his commitment, spanning 2 deployments and voyages to lands far and wide. From the historic ports of Greece and Turkey to the bustling streets of Dubai and the tapestries of Spain, Panama, and Colombia. Now, as a serial entrepreneur, a founder of Salute the Soldiers, and an Apex Athletics Academy, Stanley is channeling his leadership discipline he honed in the Navy into successful business ventures. Join us as he shares his inspirational transition from sea service to the entrepreneurial sphere with his invaluable lessons that he learned along the way. Mr. Williams, how you doing, sir?
Fantastic, man. Thank you for the intro. That was pretty amazing, man. I couldn't have done better myself.
Nice, man. How you doing? How you doing first and foremost, man? How's everything?
Definitely blessed. Just every day waking up, being able to, serve and provide education for the underprivileged, because I'm from that area. It's a blessing.
Yeah. And that's amazing, man. That's amazing. I'm really happy that you're actually doing, on the ground doing the work, being able to provide education support to the people that really need it, man. But again, you're a veteran, right? I'm a veteran. And we understand how difficult it is to actually transition, right? Can you give us a little bit of your background in transitioning and so on and so forth? Just so the people, again, the introduction is great, but it's always great to hear from the man himself.
It was different for me because they had a process going on. It was called a Enlisted Review Board, ERB. And with the ERB process, they were like practically overmanned, but just picking names out of a hat in order to make it get their numbers. My name was within that hat, and they practically projected me out, at the drop of a dime.
Wow.
Where, today they have so much, technology that helps veterans do things. When that process happened, it was practically nothing that they had out there for us in order for us to transition. So it was like, they give you a sign and give you a point this way, and that's practically all you had.
Wow. Man, that's tough, man. That's tough. Definitely with 13 years of service. I can only imagine just that immediate transition where you have to deal with and immediately, a military member, civilian. Dang, man, that's very difficult.
And what's crazy, like the TAP classes that we had, the out processing classes that we had, they were, bare minimum, because again, no one had any type of information of how to process these type of sailors out. So again, it was almost just like winging it.
Yeah, so that means a lot of misinformation was provided or no information.
No information, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So my transition, like I said, was a little different from a lot of sailors that had just a normal process out. It's pretty different.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with that, let's kind of back up here, right? Let's kind of back up here. So first and foremost, where are you originally from?
Petersburg, Virginia. Very small city in Virginia. Raised by a single mother. A lot of poverty in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I recall sitting in, government lines waiting for red rope bologna and powdered milk and things of that nature. So it was a rough, area, but at the same time, you're accustomed to it because you live there. So, I don't take anything definitely from Petersburg or anything like that. It made me the man I am today, I'll tell you that.
Oh, trust me, I understand. Well, that's fantastic. So, from Petersburg, Virginia, again, being in that world, in that realm of things, how did you end up actually joining the military?
Okay, I was going to give you that second portion, but I'm glad you asked that. My mother, I want to say when I was 9 years old, we moved up to Easton, Pennsylvania. And that's another small city, I want to say about an hour and a half out of Philly.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I went to high school and things of that nature, but I didn't really have any ambitions at the time because no direction. So me and my mother were just sitting there talking one day, and she was like, "You thought about going into the military?" And I was like, "I never thought about it, but let's see where to go." I knew she couldn't put me through college based off her being a single mother. So I went to the Marine recruit first. We played some football. I didn't do too well for the ASVAB for the Air Force, which my family on my dad's side, the majority of them went into the Air Force. So I couldn't get into the Air Force. And lo and behold, went to the recruit Navy person. I cannot remember his name to save my life. He was first class. And I go inside and he's showing me this book of places he's been, everywhere from Japan, Australia, everywhere. And I was like, "Man, what did you do in the Navy?" He was like, "I was an operations specialist." And
Your recruiter?
my recruiter was operations specialist.
Oh man, that's great.
So that's how I got sold into joining the Navy as an operations specialist.
Oh, so you went exactly with that job because you kind of knew the background from him.
I went to boot camp with a job in place. A lot of people go, deck seaman or undesignated.
Yeah.
But I had a school right out of boot camp, man. So it's definitely a privilege.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, most recruiter stories, I'm sure, as you know, don't go as planned,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Or you're gonna be working on planes. You're gonna be a pilot. You're gonna do everything that you ever want to do. Next thing you know, they're scrubbing pad eyes, right?
Exactly. Painting the ship or something, And more power to them because, like I said, boatswain's mate, man, they have a very important job, man. And people think it's just, we got to paint the ship. Oh, no. They are the ship. That's what I tell people. They are the ship.
And I don't think people understand that.
No, not
again, my hat's off. My hat's off to them because if those guys and girls don't exist, I can tell you one thing: the ship does not.
No.
The ship goes nowhere.
Nowhere.
But with that, obviously, transitioning, getting into the military, speaking with your recruiter, was there any type of reluctancy trying to go into the military?
Not at all. Not at all. It was just a different chapter in your book of life. So, I remember the day when it was time to go to MEPS. The recruiter came and got me, walking down the stairs, man. Mom got tears in her eyes, streaming. I got tears in my eyes. It's a new transition of life, You're leaving the nest, going to make your own life. So
And what age were you?
I was 18.
18?
Right out of high school.
Right okay.
July 25th, 1999 was the day.
Wow.
Remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I think everyone remembers that day that they're leaving off.
Man.
That touchdown to boot camp, right? And then from
new
there,
world.
It's entirely.
New world, man. New world. But again, like you say, if you grow up with great parents and a great background, the transition's a little bit more smoother because you've been in certain areas that aren't very necessarily nice areas. So when you go to different areas, you're like, if I made it out of there, I can make it anywhere.
That's amazing. But also having a background, sounds like your family was a military background, right?
Yeah. On my dad's side, my grandfather was in the Air Force. I think he served in the Vietnam War. My Aunt Sheila, she was in the Air Force, and I think she was in Colorado for a little bit. My dad was in the Air Force. He was, I think, an E5 as well. My grandfather's brother, Clarence, he was in the Army.
wow.
Yeah, so the lineage, my younger brother, Lorenzo, joined the Navy. So we got a lineage of my Uncle Mike, he was in the Army as well. So, it transitioned over to me, which became a blessing, like big
That's
time.
amazing. That's amazing, man. Just having a background, and also a lot of times, you have a lot of first-time military personnel that goes into service, but don't have no one they can pick up the phone and have an understanding of expectation. But it sounds like you definitely had a firm background, but also a great recruiter as well. So
Yeah.
that's good. That's
he's
very
pretty
good.
He's
Nice.
really good.
Nice. So with that being shipped off to boot camp, tell me about that.
Boot camp, the first day, different, I can tell you that much. Because, when you transition over, you ain't got much sleep. So when you're going through everything that you're going through, where you're in this line trying to get whatever signature and shot or whatever the case may be, it was definitely a brand new awakening to something that I hadn't experienced a day in my life. But I knew, again, it wasn't going to be anything I was going to like initially. You hear stories about boot camp and you just put your head down and you work extremely hard and try to get where you're going to get. Met a lot of great individuals from boot camp, man. A lot of great individuals. I don't know where they are to this day, but in that area, greatness. And I wasn't as moved, but that swim qual ate me alive. That swim qual ate me alive.
Who did that? Was one. I mean, listen, that swim qualification. You caught me walking back and forth trying to get my qualification, just because I'm telling you, that pool was the largest pool in the world. It felt like it was 200 feet just trying to get to where you needed to go.
They wanted you to float in water or dive off, float in water for a little bit, then swim like 2 miles back and forth. I'm like, I am not an Olympic swimmer. I'm not trying to be in the Navy SEALs like that. I just want to, do what I do. But lo and behold, finally, passed it and went through general quarters. Now, I think it's, they have like this Disney ship or something like that. But when I went through, they woke us up in the morning, had to put on all our boots, and we had to run to every station in order to finish the whole shebang.
Yeah. So in boot camp, everyone has their story that that story passed down that they want to scare the recruits, right? One of my stories was that hey, you get the peanut butter shot. Like, well, what's the peanut butter shot? What is that? Where they stick the needle where the sun don't shine and go ahead and inject you up, and
left leg was numb for about 30 seconds. I remember that day.
So I'm like, the peanut butter shot. I'm like, no, I don't think that's gonna happen. But I went through all the boot camp, waiting on that day. Never came.
It never came.
Never came, man. Did they give you guys any type of scare tactics or anything like that?
Oh, no, that wasn't a scare tactic. That actually happened.
Well, I guess I'm
we
blessed.
all had to go. I forget where it was, but again, we had to line up, sit there with our blue Navy recruit sweatsuit on, and then you go in this area. This lady tell you to think just left cheek or right cheek. I don't know which cheek, whichever one you feel comfortable with. And man, yeah, she whatever was in that thing. I don't know if they call it peanut butter. It was lava. Whatever the case may be. And that thing shot down the left side of my leg, something ferocious, man.
Oh, man,
I'm like, I don't even know what they just gave me, but it was, but yeah, I think that was the only one. And then they say the chicken does something to like man's organs or so. Hey, okay, impotence that's okay. We're going to be real about it. I heard that something in the food gives you impotence, which I believe because boy, it was something serious. And then it makes you a little constipated as well because it takes you a couple weeks to go to the restroom. So those aren't lies. It's experience, I can tell you, but I never heard any other ones that were that crazy.
Yeah, we speak to a lot of Vietnam veterans, speak to a lot of Gulf War veterans. They tell us all types of crazy stories. So it's interesting to kind of put the actual stories to the faces and then actually understand what really happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously going through boot camp, that was a tough transition for us all. It really showed us pride. It really showed us the honor, courage, commitment. And really put a sense and instilled of team. Yeah. But when we do transition outside of that boot camp, Now, what happens for everyone is a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
right? What about yourself when you transitioned out? You got that Navy ball cap,
Mm-hmm.
and you were now a sailor off to the fleet. What happened? What happened with that with you?
Well, I had a A school coming out of boot camp, so I was able
Okay.
to go straight to Dam Neck, Virginia.
Okay.
And from Dam Neck, Virginia, I went to school for, what was that? From June, no, it was like October to like January, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, look, I couldn't imagine doing anything else because going to something like that, we had nice little Navy facilities, little bunk bed rooms,
Mm-hmm.
But as time went along, from those, because they were damaged a little bit, the bunk bed rooms, so we had to
Yeah.
move to the hotel. So I spent like my last month and a half in like a hotel room, living the time of my life.
Oh,
Hey, look, don't judge me, man. Don't judge me. But
this ain't them OSs, man.
Hey.
It's like, oh man, they get...
we had we like I said, we had a really good time. But it was just almost like boot camp, a little bit more freedom, of course. You got to go through certain weeks in order to wear civilian clothes.
Yeah,
You can't just go in there automatically and be like, oh yeah, we're going and doing X, Y, and Z. No. But being in Virginia, in that area, I was able to go to Norfolk State stuff, Hampton, Old Dominion. There was the beach, so it was just, I can't complain about A school one bit by any means. I can't, but I know there's a lot of people that didn't have that opportunity to go through those. Yeah, but for me, it was pretty solid.
Yeah, A school. That's when A school. I called a buddy of mine during A school. I was like, hey man, you might want to think of joining the military because we were in Pensacola. We're in Pensacola, Florida. And you talk about Pensacola, Florida, you're talking about someone that doesn't really understand the beach life and so on. And then you get there, it's like, oh, this is the military?
Yeah. But Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Virginia Beach area, one of the world's finest military areas on the planet. Like, that place is bar none. It's getting better and better and better.
It is.
I got a lot of people that say, oh man, Norfolk is not what it was back in the day. And I don't know for certain, but that's the claim I'm hearing.
Well, I was stationed there for TDY for a bit, and when I tell you, I loved Norfolk. I mean, again, Hampton Roads area, I loved it. I truly enjoyed myself there. It's definitely a different Navy, East Coast and West Coast Navy. They always talk about that, right? The East Coast Navy was a little bit more stringent, stern in regards to requirements of uniform and different things of that nature.
That's true.
But I had an amazing time.
Yeah.
I had an amazing time there. So
I bought my first car in Virginia, man. I bought my first car. I put me in some debt, but hey, it's all right. I had my first one.
So I mean, everyone has that story, right? So when you bought your first car out there, is it some type of legendary area where sailors buy their cars and kind of go into debt and unfortunately not able to get out of 32% interest from a $7,000 car?
I ain't gonna put no companies on blast, man, but that's all I can say. Future sailors, be wary of these car places out in those areas by military facilities because they are infrastructured to come and prey on you, new sailors, and get you the highest interest rate forever in a day, and it'll ruin your credit later on in life. So please be wary of a lot of those places. I was subject to one of those, and I recommend you do your due diligence or take someone with you that gives you some great advice and has been through this a million times. Don't follow my suit when it goes to that one, okay?
Please don't, because I'm right with him, okay? I had a great Mitsubishi Diamante. I thought it was the best car in the world. Wound up paying $60,000 for it at 2003 Mitsubishi Diamante. But hey, it rode it till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, it got me a Mercury Mystique. I know that thing's probably maybe $15,000, $12,000, $32,000 later, man. Golly, a piece of crap.
Man, good times, man. Yeah. But yeah, man. So after that, obviously A school, we off to the fleet.
I had never been on a ship that big in my life. I've never seen a ship that big in my life. So when I pull up, to the port or what was that, NOB, I'm looking at all of these big gray ships. I'm like, I know I'm not going to be getting on one of those.
Yeah.
And I'm walking up the brow. Oh my God, what is this thing? Got my nice little whites on. I'm not even. I get there, no one knows I'm supposed to be there. So, of course, luckily, again, blessing, a buddy of mine, he's passed away now. OS2, or at the time OS3 more, I think, was on watch. And, he took care of me, took me down to berthing, got me some linen, but it was like 9 o'clock at night, so not much he could tell me.
Yeah.
Following morning, again, I didn't know where I was going because, again, it was nighttime, ship's dark right now. Morning time, I have no idea what's going on. It's like, it's not even like a new day in school. This is a new day in, I don't know, prison. I just wanted to get in that little rack thing and go to sleep. So that following morning was a rude awakening. But I had some really great mentors that helped me with that whole process because, again, that was something that I don't think anyone from a small city that has not been involved in something like that is accustomed to or can get accustomed to.
I don't small city, large city. I don't think I think it's a real shocker for anyone.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it I think you really described it very well when we're talking about entering a world that you never could imagine. And then, it truly is. And then being able to, and I think a lot of veterans, what we don't do is talk about that moment and how afraid we were.
Man.
Right? Yeah. But you also mentioned you had a great mentor.
Yeah.
That really put you in position for better understanding.
Yeah, as a buddy of mine, to this day, he had a birthday, I want to say about a week ago. His name, John Jeffries. Took me under his wing, man. We used to talk a lot of trash back and forth, man. But from an intellect and educational standpoint, one of the smartest and brightest men I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
Incredibly intelligent, always giving, stern, but still, professional. Yeah, never ran away from the hard moments that we had in combat, whether it was doing like naval gunfire shoots or, talking on the horn. He was always in the middle of that stuff. And like I said, he gave me a lot of great information, not just about military life, but, being a man. It was one of the first people I was able to be roommates with in a house. And, from that time, man, it was just practically amazing, man. Because like I said, he taught me a lot about finances, technology. He let me find myself, not stray off and be, one of those, knuckleheads doing crazy things. But, he saw something good in me and he pushed that portion as opposed to the negative portion. So to this day, I'm always grateful to that, man.
That's amazing. So we talk about your first duty station and having that amazing mentorship, right? So where exactly was your first duty station first and foremost, and where location wise?
Norfolk, Virginia. Virginia. I'm not even gonna say like he was a phenomenal mentor, but the crew itself. Greatest crew, and a lot of people on their first ship will probably tell you that first crew was the best crew they ever been around. And I will tell you to this day, that first crew we had on that USS Stump, DD-978, greatest crew of all time, man. Just a bunch of great characters, intellect, mentors. It was just a conglomerate of great people. And you don't get that often, especially, present day. We didn't have much technology back then, so it was just us cracking jokes on one another, making us stronger mentally, because we knew, especially as OSs, it's going to be 6 on, 6 off roughly for the whole deployment.
Yeah. No, it's just going through that time, understanding that the crew makes the ship, but also your first duty station makes your time in service. Right? And kind of you navigating, coming onto the ship, just getting acclimated, right? Finding your groove and in that time frame. Was there ever any time where you felt as though, maybe this is not for me? In the first iteration, when you're on the ship, you get to the ship, you actually know where to put your sea bag and you actually have to understand, like, I have to take a shower here.
Yeah.
I can't take a shower without shower shoes. But some sailors did, but we're not going to talk about that. That's disgusting. We'll never discuss that here. But having to deal with the not only the elements, but the unfortunate of being in that type of environment.
The first ship, I would say probably at the end. And that was when we had changed leadership. Things got a little different. It wasn't the same, bond that we had initially. But look, the first deployment, I'd never been anywhere. So, that definitely didn't change my mind. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, wait. You mean to tell me we can? Oh, okay, cool. Now, I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and say the transition going over there wasn't,
rough,
a process. But once you got to certain places, it was like, oh, it was all worth it then. It was all worth it. But there was no moments, just like I said, when the leadership changed, that's when, it was almost time for me to go. But I was telling people, I was like, I'm probably going to do 4 and get out of here. But that wasn't the case. Orders came, and it was time for me to pick orders. And at the time, they had, I think it was Ord Mod, if I'm not mistaken, where you can, I think, enlist for 6 years. And it would have to be a term of like 4 years sea duty. But they had on these orders, London, England, Paris, France.
What?
So I had those 2 options were my top 2. And I chose London, England, of course, because they spoke English. That was like my main reason, because they spoke English. And I was able to go to London, but it was type 4 duty at the time. So it was sea duty, kind of sea duty. So I was able to use that time as sea duty, and I got money for it too, re-enlistment bonus, everything, man. Yeah, I did. Like, again, I can't.
What type of military services?
It was a good one, man. What are you talking about? Look, you do good things happen to you.
I agree. I'm telling you, because when I got my billet listing, I was like, well, it was probably time to go, because going to Djibouti, Africa is probably not good.
That is crazy. The only one I didn't get was, where is it? Southcom, which was in Miami.
Oh.
I was trying to get to Miami. They wouldn't let me go to Miami. But I got Tampa instead.
That's a drive. What, 4 hours?
3 and a half. Oh. Yeah. Depends on what you drive.
Nice, man. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. But
I have never witnessed Christmas outside the United States a day in my life. So to see how the people of Spain celebrated Christmas blew my mind, man. They were lights everywhere, Feliz Navidad everywhere, and I knew a little Spanish at the time, because I had like a C when I left high school. So I was a little friend. I could understand a lot. I could say C, porque, things of that nature. But the atmosphere, man, people walking around, it was great food. Spain is special to me. A buddy of mine went to Spain this year, and I told him, bro, you might not come back. He said, what do you mean? I was like, look, I only went to Valencia, Spain, and I had dreams of never returning. Like, I thought about going UA a couple times. It ain't happened. It never happened. But I had dreams of it. But he went to Barcelona, man. He came back. He was like, dude, I'm surprised I'm here talking to you right now. He was like, I understand.
Man, that's amazing. So Christmas in Spain, what were some of the traditions or something that you experienced that you were never able to experience in Virginia?
I want you to understand my age at the time.
Okay. So give some context.
When it was culturally satisfying, I wasn't like, I was 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there. So, we weren't really looking at the, culture. We was in the streets, as they say. We had no business being in. But for some reason, based off of, how we were interacting and embracing the culture, they allowed us to have fun with them. I don't think they do the whole Christmas present thing and all of that stuff. I didn't see anyone wrapping gifts like that. It's not as extreme as what we do, but I didn't see them over there like that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, and then just being able to be somewhere else at Christmas, definitely being so young. But yeah, man, just being at the first port, being able to enjoy things of that nature. I'm sure there were many times and many memories that you have with friends and family that you will never forget.
Oh, no, not at all. Like I said, I've been through the Panama Canal, man. So I was able to see that in person, not once, but twice I've seen it. And I still don't know how, man was able to come up with that concept.
Yeah, and again, just a little context for our audience in regards to the Panama Canal, man, that was something that took years and years of development, but also many lives were taken there.
Man,
Many
lots of lives.
lives was
Yes.
taken for the Panama Canal.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, and you know, we again, we're not gonna go into a history
Oh,
lesson,
no, no.
but it's just you know, being able to see some of these monumental world wonders that it just you can never revisit, and you just
Oh,
had to be there.
not at all. And
But now everybody has a phone,
oh,
right?
easily you can see anything now. And
Yeah.
we was in seeing anchor, so we in seeing anchor the whole time, man. Creeping through the Panama Canal.
Yeah,
You watch one bunker get low, fill up, take you to the top, cruise on through.
that's amazing.
Like once we got through though, we were in Panama City, and phenomenal place, man.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. So what about Greece? So
We went to Suda Crete. It was like Greek islands, and that was the first time I actually had a real, whatever you want to call them, gyro, hero, kebab, whatever you want to call them. And they had French fries in that thing, man. And
inside it?
yeah, it was inside.
Oh, they had a California burrito.
Yes, but it was like a gyro California burrito, but it
Yeah.
was with their seasonings and their whole thing. It was practically amazing, man. I called my grandmother from that port because I think it was around her birthday time or New Year's, somewhere around there. So Christmas, it was Spain. New Year's was actually Suda Crete. Now I'm thinking about that. It damn sure was. Yep.
Boy, I'll tell you about your military career. This was a vacation.
I mean, it was, but it was tough again, like you said,
Oh, of
because
course.
that was the first time not being home for Christmas. You know, New Year's never been anywhere like that in a different country, but I was out there with my brothers and sisters, and we had a great time in Suda Crete. Yeah.
No, 100%. So, I mean, obviously, you know, as we're going through your cruise, gaining notoriety, putting your foot down on the USS Stump and really taking hold of grasp of your career, how did those transitions in your career really become obviously impactful of leadership? You know, because as you get, you know, more rank, more responsibility, more leadership that you have over your subordinates. Tell me about that journey of your from E1 to E5 there.
Hard work, you know, that's ultimately what it's going to be about. I tell sailors or Marines, Army personnel going in right now, if you follow the 4 simple rules, you know your job, do your job, look good doing it, and be on time. If you follow those 4 rules, you can't go wrong, man. Because if you know your job, that means you're educating yourself on what you're supposed to be doing, which is your job, whatever it is within the military. Be on time, you know, 15, 30 minutes early. It's like sit there and wait is what they want us to do. So practice that and look good doing it.
True indeed, true indeed.
Keep your uniform fresh, you know, your gig line nice, you know, nice shave, and I promise you, life will be awesome. If you want to go above and beyond, of course, then go above and beyond. But I'm a leader by working hard, educating myself, and then giving that same education that I take, providing it to the younger sailors and helping them become better. Because if we can't become better as a team, then this is not going to work. And I learned that when we talk about my next duty state. Well, I learned that there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, again, I think a lot of times, sometimes we make this a little bit more difficult than what it really is, right? You hit the nail on the head, right? Look good doing what you do, and guess what? Do it to your best ability.
I mean, you got a lot of, like I said, everyone doesn't have the same mantra or mindset, so I get it, but I tell people if you want to take a lot of the nonsense out of your life, just follow those 4. That's all you got to do.
It's very difficult to follow those 4, though, when you have, you know, we want to talk about, we also want to identify the great things about it, right? In regards to being able to have those 4. But now, give me some of the top 3 things that even looking good, working hard, making sure everything is done on time, and also excelling some of the terrors that you may have went through at that time.
Of course, I mean bias, you know, complexion bias, if you want to call it, gender bias. You know, people feel that they supposed to be in greater areas because of, again, complexion issues.
Mhm.
But that's practically a majority of military experience for people of my color, is that you have to deal with the bias. Some people talk to you a certain way. They're not, they don't have to talk to you that way, but based off of certain whatever they got going on in their brain, they try to bring that out.
Yeah.
That's the first area I've ever been, which is the United States Navy, where 1 minute one person can hate your guts, next minute y'all got to be like this in order to get something done. So it's very eye-opening. You can't wear it on your sleeve every day and go in there as, the angry person, and keep your head focused. I try to stick to the 4, even though, some outside noise try to get in there, and can't sit there and tell you I've been, the most perfect sailor and not succumb to some of the nonsense. But sometimes if you're backed up in the corners, not much you can do. And regardless of whatever rank anybody has, it does not give them the right to come in there with a collar device and try to treat you less than a man.
Yeah, true
So
indeed.
belittle you based off of their collar device, but they don't know you from a can of paint. So if you can't judge anyone if you don't know. So I tell the sailors, don't think that you're less than anything in something like that. Shine bright, do your job, look good doing it. You know what I'm saying? Be on time.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, again, we talk about, on our platform, we talk a lot about leadership, right? I think where that lacked just in general was specific training, right? I think it's all about specific training, because it's always top down, right? And sometimes we want to hear from bottom up as well. But now with that, the lack of leadership, a lot of these sailors and a lot of these upper statesmen, unfortunately, never received that care of training. You know what I'm saying? Character. So now, without the lack of personal development, a lot of projection happens, right? And now you have a collar device to protect you at all means. So it definitely is something that I think, as veterans, we can actually provide that to the civilian sector.
Yeah.
Right? Because we understand what it looks like to be good, good leadership. We understand what bad leadership looks like. So with that being said, having that diverse spectrum, it puts us in position to ultimately, collectively, be better together. But I'm really glad you touched on that. I'm really glad that you touched on that. And it really is a great transition in how you're going through the ranks of this entrepreneurial journey now outside of service, right?
Yeah.
Having to collaborate, provide leadership, provide just a hedgeway of success for your entrepreneurial journey, which again, I'm sure all of your military experiences has paved the way for that, right?
Yes, absolutely. If it wasn't for the military, I wouldn't be as structured as I am present day. To this day, I wake up early, looking for something to do. And with all the businesses that I'm involved in, I'm up there doing something, trust and believe. It gave me the platforms to use Microsoft Office products, PowerPoint, Excel, Word. When I got out, I was fluent in that stuff. And a lot of, civilians don't get that, if they're going to, college or something like that. So that was another great thing that I received. CPR training, something so small, you'd be surprised, man. Like, a lot of people don't know CPR training nowadays. So it was one of those things. I'm like, I'm glad I learned that while I was in the military. I use it to this day. I'm CPR certified. Yeah,
till this day. But that puts on a great point, though, right? When we're talking about things of that nature, right? As a service member and a veteran, you're trained to deal with emergent situations immediately.
Damn, yeah. Ooh, that's a tough one, because not everybody can do that.
I was just getting, that was what I was getting to. I was getting to, you start walking around, and soon an emergent situation happens, everybody's in a panic.
Yes.
You're like, What? Wow. What?
Yeah.
Slow down.
High-ranking officials. Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen it, yes.
Slow down. Identify, solve. Like what? Tell me a little bit about just dealing with things of that nature when you're transitioning out.
While I was in, we had a exercise, and I'm gonna tell you this one because it really helped me with understanding how good I was at multitasking. I was the NSFS RT talker. So as NSFS, which is Naval Some Fire Support, I can't remember the acronym, but practically we had to either suppress enemies, engage enemies, or create pathways for our allies to get somewhere from shooting, say from the 55-inch or missiles, one or two. So with this particular area I'm in, I'm on a microphone. I have to write with a grease pencil. I have to hear practically everything in order for this thing to go. When they first asked me to be the RT talker, I remember I told you my boy Jeff, he was an RT talker during NSFS time. So I saw what he did.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, hell no. But for some reason, as fate had it, I became the RT talker.
Next man up.
Initially, I was terrible at it. It was hard. Information coming at the speed of light. You got to write down something. You got to hear something else. Talk to this person. Write down something else. Hear this. Talk to someone. Write something down. And we get to the actual exercise, and we had practiced this thing to a T. And that pressure moment comes. I'm as cool as can be. We've done this. I know everything about this exercise right now. Can't mention no names, but it was a ranking official that was in charge of this mission. And we was not supposed to fire instantly. We had to wait for fire. Wait for fire. I'm sitting there waiting. He looks at me. I'm like, he's just screaming, fire, fire, fire. I'm like, sir, we're not supposed to fire. Fire, fire, fire. Copy that. Fire. I can't argue because I'm an E5. He's an O something. I can't argue. I just got to follow orders, right or wrong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Followed those orders, and we didn't get that battle E. Now, fast forward to transitioning out, that taught me so much about myself. Like, I knew I'm able to handle any situation thrown my way. And that was one of the most pressurized situations I've ever been a part of in my life.
Wow.
To have to talk, listen, write down at the drop of a dime. And they were talking, they were spilling too. Gotta write it down. Write it down. Repeat it back to them, verbatim. If you don't, you miss one thing wrong, go through the whole thing again. And that's time ticking. And we launching these things. We gotta launch these things in order to suppress enemy fire, or engage enemy, or make or awareness for our troops. It was pressurized, but again, coming out now, you see, I can talk in front of anybody now. It just seemed like I have that confidence in myself.
Yeah.
Because doing something like that, I tell people, if you want to be in a pressurized area, go try that. And that's not something easy to do. Like, you got to have a really good memory, first and foremost, a good ear, and a good eye. Everyone else had they, single job, making plots here and there. I'm incorporated with your job, his job, that job, and whatever job I got to do on top of that. So it was a lot, man. And again, they put the faith in me to do it. So that gave me a lot of confidence after the fact.
Yeah.
During it was like I ain't know where I'm supposed to be doing something like this.
Yeah, and that goes to show you, again, just going back to the leadership aspect of things, they will put you in, just kick you over the edge and say, there you go. We have given you enough training. We feel as though that you're good to go, even if you don't know. Absolutely nothing, right?
They put me through Aztec school that way, man. I control helicopters. So I was like, what makes y'all think? Because I was coming off of shore duty. Like, what makes you think I can go to helicopter school? I ain't been in a ship in like years.
But that goes also to understanding your specific job as an OS, right? Could you give our audience, making sure they understand what your job entails?
Specific? Man, we don't. An OS job can go from anywhere from tracking theater ballistic missiles to being a starboard lookout. We got GEETs, identification, surface surveillance. We can launch missiles. We can control helicopters. We can control fighter jets. When you're in CIC, which is the Command Information Center, it's practically the nucleus of the ship. So when things get real, that's where you're at.
If you don't have your air warfare pin, surface warfare pin, air warfare, you don't know nothing about that. That's not.
Sonars or sonar techs are in there.
Yeah.
We got to know some sonar things because if we're doing a sonar drill, again, if we have an Aztec, we're dropping sonar buoys. So we got to know how to plot. That was the first time I was using advanced mathematics like that. Like when I got out, I had to think to myself, like, dude, we was using advanced mathematics. We was measuring time, like time, speed, and distance. Like from ships that would, go 3 knots, we would have to know how to maneuver around them or know their course and speed by using these little. First time I ever used some stuff like that in my life, man. Like we can do anything, honestly. Like when it comes down to it. And I think when I don't know how they were recruiting or making people OSs, but got to be some pretty smart guys. Like,
oh yeah.
And I ain't gonna say all of them were smart, but the ones that were like hot and really did their job, they were pretty intelligent guys.
Yeah, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, right? That were hot and understanding they needed a job to be done, and they did it to an exceptional level.
Absolutely.
Because some people, right? Some other sailors, we don't like to highlight it and talk about it a lot. But they weren't necessarily the cream of the crop, right? We'll put it that way, right? There was a lot of, sailors that were not the standpoint or the highlight of the division,
right?
But a lot of times we don't never want to, obviously put a veteran down or anything of that nature. Nah. But at the same time, the cream always rose.
There's a lot of sailors that would try to keep you in certain areas or upper overhead people that would try to keep you in certain areas. But again, man, you just follow it. Because every time I would get like possibly like a bad eval or something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame anybody, I'd blame myself. First person I gotta look in the mirror, this guy right here.
Responsibility.
And even though I know some of the stuff they were probably telling me was some BS, I'm saying, okay. Use it as fuel, come back, same practice, but I would develop it. I would build on top of the foundation. I was gonna tell you the foundation is that, but you can always build on top of the foundation. So that way it doesn't come crumbling down.
True indeed. Now, I can't support that enough, man. Yeah. I can't support that. That mantra there. It's just it has to be understood.
Yeah.
That's not your end all be all.
No.
Right?
Not at all.
And some, unfortunately, a lot of sailors in leadership would not provide the support that's needed. So, but again, those people that always rose, they just rose no matter what. Mm-hmm. It was undoubtable.
Oh yeah,
it was undoubtable. But with that said, you did mention something that I did want you to kind of speak upon, not receiving a battle E from again just based upon instruction from leadership. But I also want to make sure that everyone understands what a battle E is and how prestigious it is when in service, outside of service, and even inside of service. People understand that, and it actually takes a different type of crew to be able to receive that.
It's a symbol of excellence based off the exercise that you do. Of course, each exercise is graded, so if you don't get the highest grade, that excellent grade, you do not receive the battle E. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we didn't do excellent that day. We did excellent up until that point.
Yeah.
Up until that point, Commander, following day, OS2, you was rocking and rolling.
And then also the crew receives medals from these, right?
Yeah.
You guys, again, having an excellent, rating, you receive medals for actually performing at such a high level. So
you get a ribbon for that. Yeah.
Exactly. So with that being said, it just goes to show how important these things is, because a lot of that stuff, a lot of those transformative performance tactics that you perform to this day in your entrepreneurial journey. Again, with Salute the Soldiers and also the Apex Academy. So with that, please tell me, on how some of your military service really helped you in your entrepreneurial journey.
Whew. Again, structured. being able to get up on time, work hard to fulfill the mission. Like, again, with being an entrepreneur, it is not the easiest thing because you have to get yourself up. This is where I learned about the administrative portion of how important being an entrepreneur is. On my second ship, I know you're probably gonna ask that, but just gonna get to it. My second
No,
ship
please.
at William P. Lawrence, I was in charge of creating pubs within our ship, first pubs on that ship. So from an administrative standpoint, it helped me develop how to create things and be structured in that realm. Financially, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, you have to educate yourself. Like there's no blueprint on it.
Yes, sir.
You got to be very, very, very diligent in
Yes,
your
sir.
spending. You got to know how to bring in funds. You got to know how to disperse funds. You can't commingle funds. You got to know about taxes, and abundance of this stuff, isn't taught to a majority of, like, I would say high schoolers or anything like that. So coming out as a grown man, I even took myself to college to learn a few more things. It wasn't like they didn't teach me a lot more. It was just everything that I had already in my brain. But the military, again, it gave me that go work hard for it, follow your 4 core, and do, even though if you're sitting there thinking one day for 45 minutes, but it's about something pertaining to, your entrepreneur spirit and your development. That's time spent working on your job. Trust me, because those thoughts can manifest into something tangible.
100%. And no one actually talks about the business planning side. Right? A business plan. Yeah, we can write down whatever we want to write down. What does Mike Tyson say? It's all fun and games till you get punched in the mouth, right?
Punched in the mouth.
And then now you have to kind of adjust your plan and be able to change the course of action.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds like a lot of you actually, have those incoming instructions coming in and you deploying. So again, that's a direct correlation, man. It's a direct correlation. A lot of veterans don't understand how great they could be at entrepreneurship and actually their entrepreneurial journey.
And it's funny you saying that, because when you look up what the job of an operations specialist is, I want to say literal, it's like collect, gather, disseminate information in order for people to execute. You know what I'm saying? So I find myself to this day gathering information, collecting data, and then implementing the things that I'm doing to myself.
Yeah.
So all of the businesses and entrepreneur spirits that I've done has practically been just like that. So I gather information about it or collect it, put it in a little thing, see what's happening, take out what I don't need, disseminate it out to wherever I have to disseminate throughout any business that I have. It's really helped me with structure.
No,
because I can be all over the place, doing something that I ain't got no business doing, using my thumb to just scroll. I don't want to do no stuff like that. I'd rather be actually administratively developing my businesses, financially definitely developing my businesses, and branding. I love branding my businesses. So it's presentation. You saw presentation, you know how to put together presentations now, know how to use Word. Like, it's so much that, goodness gracious, man. I can go on a list and list and list. Can just go on and go on. I can talk to people like no other. Because early on I was on the microphone trying to get foreign ships to pull over so we can board them. So being on the microphone's been damn near second nature to me for some reason. I didn't even know that until the military.
No, 100%, man. And then communication, right? Communication styles, communicating with someone you don't know from a can of paint, but also communicating and actually coming on a human level with someone. Because you gotta realize the military is a fabric of America. It's literally the fabric of America. So every twine and every intertwined person that you can think of
From
is in the
everywhere.
military.
From everywhere.
Is in the military. So now you got to be able to figure out how to communicate with them, right? Whether if it's a language barrier, whether if it's a cultural barrier, and whether if it's just a bias.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
so it's just an amazing, I think, journey, and it shows a testament to yourself and the things that you develop, such as salute to soldiers. Could you give me a more insight to your business, Salute to Soldiers?
Salute to Soldiers that's Salute to Soldiers, SOUL. Okay, a lot of people don't get that portion.
Soldiers.
And it's for veterans of color that have been forgotten about. We are giving veterans platforms or resources for them to get mentally right, physically right, financially right, spiritually right. Any alley that you can think of that they need help in or where they're experiencing trauma within, that's where we're trying to provide resources to them for. And that's military service people that are transitioning in, presently in, transitioning out, veterans, everybody.
Fantastic.
And that came about, man, I think you heard the Montford Point Mariners yesterday. They were talking about the groups that you've heard about. And I'm pretty sure I was researching something about Tuskegee Airmen, which took me down a rabbit hole. And that's why I started to find a lot of these groups that I had no idea existed, and some of the phenomenal things they've done in order for this country to be where it is present day. I even tell you a story about the Tuskegee Airmen that I had no information about until like a year ago. You heard of the movie Top Gun, right?
Yeah.
You know what the Top Gun Award is?
No, please.
Top Gun Award is a bunch of top flight pilots come together. They have these series of events and games, and the top pilots, they become Top Gun.
Nice. Okay.
You know who the first Top Gun reward recipients are?
No, please.
The Tuskegee Airmen.
That's phenomenal.
They took one photo with these gentlemen. Not only that, now they had bottom of the tier planes too, and still was whooping ass.
Wow.
They took one photo of them with the trophy, put it in the storage, and locked it away for 50 plus years.
Never to be seen. Man,
see, and that's the type of stuff I'm talking about, which is why that made me want to highlight those veterans of color that have done these phenomenal things, but they don't have any recognition. Can you imagine during those times you go to war and you fight for your country, and then you got to fight against your country when you come back?
Yeah. And I'm glad you speak about that, because we actually, just to give the audience some clarity and some context. So we were Veterans for Veterans. We were invited to speak at, again, an organized event by Salute to Soldiers. So with that, when we were invited to an event, this event was put on, and I'm talking about when I mean we were blown away about the turnout. We were blown away about the guests. We were blown away, just again, the venue. We really thank you guys being able to provide us a space to be able to educate veterans, because we're in the same space of taking care of our veterans, right? Active duty members, and again, when we mean veterans, we mean all service members.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I specifically got educated. And I think I even tell myself, you're educated in regards to military, current day, and different things of that nature. But when we're talking about the historic understanding of our veterans and our soldiers that have paved the way, right, for us, I had no clue about the Montford Marines. No clue. And I personally was educated, and I was provided understanding, and given that education, and it really puts a sense of pride in being a niche in the history that they have laid down for us. So we thank you guys for what you do, because without you, we're not being able to get the education and pass it on to our other constituents out here who's on the fence of being able to join the military. What is the experiences are like? A lot of times we hear some of the notions from civilians, right? I'm not going to fight that war because I didn't cause it. I'm not going to join the military because it has nothing for me. I'm not going to leave home. But if you understood the history beyond that, I can guarantee you, you want to be a part of something so great.
Because they wanted to be a part of it. That's the
Yeah.
crazy part. They wanted to be a part of it.
And they weren't granted the access.
Oh,
They were not granted. Well, the Monthly Marines was, again, they were a division of Marines that really, really laid down the groundwork and really, really put in the work for African Americans during that time frame. And to be frank with you, they weren't given opportunity. So they fought for our rights while in service, which we don't talk about because, again, that is a blemish in America's history at times. But we sometimes want to highlight it and bring it to the forefront. In regards to to soldiers, if you can give me just kind of some context in regards directly some of the services that you provide service members and kind of pinpointing how they can be able to, reach out to you, make sure that they are able to get the help that they desire and need.
We offer resources, whether it's collaborating with fine organizations like yourself that provide veterans with getting their military benefits, home loan benefits, all benefits that are included in that. We have partnered with Village Veterans of San Diego. They assist in helping them with homelessness and unemployment.
Wow.
We're also partnered with a financial financial group called Virtuity. It's actually with Marshall Falk and Company, and they aid in developing veterans or assisting veterans in getting better financially, prepping, either in real estate or retirement, estate planning, children, getting their 529s, things of that nature. And of course, Apex Athletics Academy is definitely the fitness brand to sponsor Salute to Soldiers, because at the end of the day, that is my dream, is to help all of us get physically and financially wealthy.
Nice. And having that space where veterans can also come to be able to gather all of that.
Yeah.
Because every pinpointed area you kind of mentioned really is a need.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sure that's why obviously it was developed, and spending that time just really pondering on where you're going to go next. That definitely is something to benefit that I can say that veterans need. But with that said, man, so we talk about benefits, right? Again, when you're transitioning out of service, and that journey, right? Going through 13 years of service, I can tell you right now, just as my service time, I'm sure it beats you up, man. So I'm sure it beats you up. Is there, again, can you give us your journey in regards to understanding, obviously, being educated amongst your benefits? Because you mentioned that you were kind of ushered out, right? And just kind of give us that understanding and your experience.
It wasn't a good experience, I can tell you that much. The way it started, like I said, I just took it upon myself to just go down to the VA.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, as blessings come, I met a phenomenal gentleman to this day. He's actually one of the founders of Salute to Soldiers, Dietrich Inslee, and he works down at the VA as a consultant. And I was happy that I got him, because had I not, I know my process would have been a whole lot more turbulent than what it was. But, he would give me some really great nuggets to go and do what I need to do and get certain things. It could only take me so far, and then it got to a point where I had to go other places because, of course, the process going through the VA can be a little difficult.
Oh, yeah.
And it is what it is. But from that, it wasn't a great transition because, again, it was like a fight or flight, And with me, I was transitioning from, I lost another job as well because I was an IT specialist and they had lost a contract. So in return, I lost that job. So I lost like 2 jobs in like 2 years. And now I can use my education, give it to them, which that's my intellect, so they can apply it as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But in some of those realms or those professions, it's real tough, Ken, because the the language barrier is real tough, especially in real
Mm.
estate and sometimes then life insurance, definitely. So I wanted to be able to break it down and then give it to the people.
Just understanding the jargon, right?
Yes,
You're talking
yes.
about the legal jargon, you're
Mhm.
talking about the medical jargon, you're talking about understanding products that you've never heard of,
Mhm.
and it's typically challenging. It's
Yeah.
typically challenging, and as a veteran, a lot of times we have a lot of pride, right?
Big time.
We are always, taught not to show that vulnerability,
Mhm.
and we always want to make sure that we're creating a space where vulnerability is a positive thing. Because if we don't show that vulnerability, we're not able to grow as a unit,
Right.
right? So with that, understanding that, it's just once we're told no once, it's kind of we're done. We're done, right? So it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing because as veterans, we know we need the help.
Mhm.
That transition is the toughest thing you will anyone would typically go through for most, right? You go from the structured society in this world that you have to up early, late nights, working hard
Mhm.
to a world where you don't know what's what.
I had no idea where any income was coming. I mean, they gave me a lump sum of money coming out, but I wasn't able to apply for my disability benefits until 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how they did
Wow,
me.
hold on, please speak about that. So
So
that's
with
interesting.
the ERB process, they gave me a lump sum of money getting out, but I
Mhm.
wasn't able to apply for my disability benefits till 3 years.
Wow. Wow. So they basically gave you, I guess, a
A
severance.
loan. I would call it a loan.
A lo-
A loan.
Because typically it has to be paid back once you're granted your benefits, right?
And that's what I'm thinking. Like the amount of time that 47,000 in benefits probably would have equaled out the same. So they just
Yeah,
gave me a lump sum of money, but I'd rather take the
the benefits on the way out,
yep
man. And
because I
for,
think
for
they tax that lump sum.
yeah, that's what they don't talk about,
Hmm.
right? That's what no one talks about. So again, and what Mr. Williams is talking about here is once you receive your severance on a discharge of that nature, the I guess the VA or the DOD or let's say the government, right? They treat it as double dipping,
Hmm.
right? They treat it as double dipping. So with that being said, once you're granted your benefits, you then need to pay those monies back that was provided to you. But as he just mentioned, those monies were taxed,
Hmm.
right? So now you have to pay that back before you're able to be granted and free and clear of your benefits thereafter. So again, that is a transition. Not knowing that and understanding that now you're having this lump sum of money. You've transitioned. You lost that first initial job, and now going into the secondary, you again contract fails, and
Hmm.
now what happens? It's tough, right?
I went to unemployment route, and that's when I think I went to like school because you needed income
Yeah,
some way, some shape, some form. The job market wasn't the hottest at the moment, and they weren't paying what I thought was acceptable amounts of money
yeah.
for someone that had a top secret clearance and great credentials. So if you know your worth, go get it.
Oh
If
man.
you don't complain about nothing then, because I told myself the day I saw that man behind that desk, man, I'm not going to sit there and let you dictate my value.
Ooh.
I'm gonna make it happen, and I'm gonna let you know later on how valuable I am or invaluable, because I don't have a value on it. I'm just
You just know
more
your
more
worth.
more than what people tell you that you're worth.
Yes, sir. And that's another thing that I really want the audience to understand. Transitioning out, you understand you were top notch.
Yeah.
You're top of the class, top secret clearance, able to again communicate at a not a proficient level, at the highest level that you can probably communicate at. Right, your job, you're acing tests. Oh, again, being an OS, you have to have a great education, right? And understanding of your job. And not only that, to be able to move through the ranks like that, trust me, it is not easy.
No,
Right? Your competition is hefty, the
man,
competition is hard.
and they don't rank many OSs like that to first class. It's like out of 3,000, maybe like 10 at the time were getting you know promoted to E6. You
Yeah.
can ace the test and still wasn't enough.
Still, because the rate is closed, right?
Yep.
It's just too many. It's too many.
Yep.
It's just not enough. It's not enough room for growth, right? But with that, being able to transition out and understand how much of a high level personnel you are, now you go back to civilian life and you're starting from step one.
Yeah.
Starting from step one. And I want to let veterans know that when you're starting there, understand that that is not where you finish. That is not where you finish, right? It's just a tough transition when we're dealing with mental ailments, right? When we're dealing with physical ailments, when we are understanding or not understanding our value and fall into depression, right? Or not getting in a structured environment where we have to train, right? Physically in shape, physically, mentally, and financially, right? So we have all these pillars are just unfortunately not put in place for us. And then next thing you know, depression happens. Your bank account starts dwindling. You can't find a job. And next thing you know, what transitions next? It's now I go ask for help. I'm told no. And now as a veteran, being a proponent of a person who comes out of that, what can you say was your best, your best element of who you are that got you through that?
Oh boy, your belief system has to be above and beyond. If you really truly think that you're destined to do something, go do it. Regardless of any naysayers, regardless of the money in it, regardless of all of that materialistic stuff. When you get the call from your powers that be and you answer it and you say, copy that, trust and believe everything is going to be just fine. Power through any adversity that you think is adversity. It could be empty adversity in your mind. Get it out of there and look at the silver lining through the whole process, because there's trials, tribulations, pains, gains, growths, and being buried somewhere. End of it, there's a line that either you're going to develop or you're going to not develop. So when you get to those moments, think to yourself, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing it righteously? And am I doing it to serve the people? The underprivileged, those that can't do what you can do. When you put that into the context of it all, you're on the right path. You have a smile on your face. You'll be able to look yourself in the mirror and you'll say, this is what I'm doing from a passionate standpoint. And I promise you, opportunities will open up because you'll be prepared for them. You spent the time, you put in the work, and when that moment has come, easy day. It's a walk in paradise, baby. So I know it's going to be tough. I tell people this all the time. You can ride the wave up like a surfer. When it comes crashing down, you can ride it upside down like Aquaman. There ain't no trials and tribulations, baby. Just understand, every day is going to be every day. Wake up with a smile on your face and get to it. That's all you got to do.
Wow. Listen, again, being able to be left off there, Stanley, I really appreciate yourself. Salute the soldiers, the team of Veterans for Veterans. We thank you. We thank you for what you do. We thank you for being a pillar in the veteran community, educating, supporting, uplifting, and we thank you. So as a veteran myself, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Now, please, you guys, tune in, like, subscribe, and follow. Again, Veterans Voices, Mr. Stanley Williams.